Welcome back to our 10th video. Thanks to you, we managed to get 650 views in something like 5 days, which was excellent. So, for our first review today, I'm going to be doing Chronicle. Chronicle is a review request from this tasty munchkin. Chronicle is a found footage film, meaning it's basically made up of video cameras and CCTV loops and all that kind of stuff to give the effect that you're watching something very real. Directed by Josh Trank and written by Max Landis, it's loosely based on a story that they both wrote together. I was really excited to see this film, both because the hype on YouTube is unbelievable. I don't think I could watch a single video without finding one of those preloading ads. I heard really mixed reviews about it as well. 3 of my friends said it was fantastic, and 2 of my friends said it was a complete waste of time, I shouldn't see it, rah rah rah. The film starts out quite real. A lot of the things that you see are quite emotional and brutal. One of the protagonist's father is quite abusive, and this is all, his life is kind of projected through this camera, which he sets up as a bit of an emotional barrier from the world, and he just starts filming everything. This film felt a little rushed. You really don't have very much build up before everything just starts happening. There's no real link between the event that starts it all and them developing powers. One thing I thought was quite good is just the way this film illustrates bullying and abusive behavior and violence. It really shows that what you do to other people can really, really deeply affect them, even if you don't think it does. I also liked the realism of the effect of the bullying. You know, there's so many superhero movies out there where the protagonist is bullied and then turns into a really good sort of person, but each of the characters in this film are almost anti-heroes. They're not necessarily protagonists or villains. I think another really smooth move by the production crew of this film is the fact that they didn't try and explain everything. Towards the end of the film, they do lose a bit of the style because the storytelling element of having a camera either being floating around or held by one of the characters, they start switching to other mediums to tell the story, and it kind of just loses its effect. Look, there's not much I can say about this film because it really is something that you need to go and see, but I thought it was very good. The main problem I had with it, or gripe if you will, is the fact that the special effects are just not quite there. But if this film just had a bigger budget, they'd be able to afford better effects. But in the end, in this kind of movie, all you can really do is use basic CGI and cables and stuff like that. So I give this film an 8.5 out of 10. For our trip down nostalgia lane today, not really, it's not that old, is Shaun of the Dead. And this was a review request from this guy and this guy. The film itself refers to itself as a romantic comedy with zombies. My first review was for a zombie film. I am a huge fan of the genre. The opening sequences of this film are brilliant because they show the monotony and the autonomy of everyday life, just how everything is boring and everyone does the same thing over and over again. The film's also littered with heaps of pop culture references such as Queen and video games and the original Dawn of the Dead, which is used in parts of the soundtrack of this film. This film stars the duo of Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, who you may also know from Hot Fuzz and Paul, and it was directed by Edgar Wright. It's essentially like a love story. A guy gets dumped by his girlfriend and he tries to win her back. But people just start coming back to life and eating each other. As you can imagine, this kind of complicates things. The sound in this film isn't fantastic. It's kind of obvious that it's been added in as a second layer, but what is fantastic about this film is the juxtaposition, which is not necessarily simultaneous. What they do is they show a scene, and this scene has a couple of key events that you remember later on in the film, because they'll show the same scene but everything's zombified. So all of a sudden the jogger who runs past at the beginning of the scene listening to music is instead running for his life and panting hysterically. And the guy who was washing his car on the street is instead gone and the windshield's cracked and covered with blood. So they really do show you the before and after of the zombie apocalypse. The acting in this film is quite strong, but there are occasional moments of, well, they're just a bit lacking. However, for a comedy film, this is quite good. The film sticks quite close to George A. Romero's original cinematic zombie. They're quite slow, they're very stupid, but it is a little inconsistent in that some zombies display a lot of intelligence, and on top of that, sometimes the transformation from human to zombie takes a matter of seconds, other times it takes days. But I guess certain factors come in. One of the guys who changes quite slowly is a very physically fit male in his 20s, whereas someone who changes quite quickly is a 60-year-old kind of woman. So it makes sense, I guess. The zombies themselves, as in the extras who are playing all these undead ghouls, they do quite a good job. There's many reoccurring jokes as well. The humor is quite dry, so on occasion I was watching the film and I was kind of like This film is quite good, but as a comedy film standing alone, it's not that funny. And as a zombie film standing alone, it's not that exhilarating. Don't get me wrong, the acting is quite emotional. There are parts where it's sad when it wants to be, and it's happy and kind of funny at other points, and other times it's like an adrenaline rush. You're really hoping for the actors to make it out alive. But that's exactly it. This mix of horror and comedy, it's just a bit of a recipe for disaster, and occasionally that can really heavily subtract from some of these movies. Because it's so good, this isn't so much the case, but it does still lose a couple of points. All up, I give this film a 7 out of 10. If you haven't seen it and you're a fan of horror or comedy, I would check it out, although it is British comedy, so it's not for everyone. Well guys, we made it to 650 views. This is weird, I'm uploading a video on a Thursday rather than a Sunday. So I will see you on Sunday, and if we keep the views up past 650, then we'll keep doing bi-weekly videos. As a wise man once told me, so I'll see you later.